কতক্ষণ ধরে জয়েন করবে এবার? Okay, now I can start. Oh, everybody can start. Hello. Now today I shall discuss the ion exchange process or removal of hardness of water. Our voice clear শোনা যাচ্ছে তো?
হ্যাঁ
Yes,
স্যার।
sir.
Okay. The ion exchange process, this is the most efficient process for removal of hardness of water. Actually, in this process, the both the cations and the anions which are responsible for hardness of water can be removed. Suppose if we consider the hardness bearing salt, say calcium carbonate or calcium bicarbonate or calcium chloride or magnesium chloride, if it is present in the water, then in ion exchange process both the cations, that is say calcium 2 plus or magnesium 2 plus, or the anions such as chloride, sulfate, carbonate or bicarbonate can be removed by this process. Now I shall discuss what is the principle of this particular process. Actually, in this process, two different membranes are used. One is the cation exchanger and another one is the anion exchanger. The function of cation exchanger, when the water will pass through this membrane, then the cations which are responsible for the hardness of water, that will exchange by H plus ion. Suppose the metal ion, which is responsible for hardness of water, when it will when the hard water will pass through the cation exchanger, then the metal ion, it is exchanged by H plus ion. Therefore, when the water which is coming out from cation exchanger, that will be acidic or basic in nature. Hello, that will be acidic in nature?
Yes, sir.
Because exchange of cation with H plus ion will take place. So the water which is coming out through cation exchanger that contain high concentration of H plus ion, so it will be acidic in nature. Now after that, then I will discuss the reaction. Then the water will pass through the anion exchanger. And when the water will pass through the anion exchanger, then exchange of anion with the OH minus will take place. That means Cl minus or that is the SO4 2 minus, that will exchange by OH minus ion. So after passing through the cation exchanger as well as the anion exchanger, finally the water which is coming out, whether it will be acidic or basic or neutral in nature, that will be neutral, because the number of cation, the charge of cation and the charge of anion will be same. So the exchange of cation and anion will be same. So finally the water which is coming out through the cation and anion exchanger, that will be completely neutral, and in this process both the cations and anions can be removed. Now if you see the now তোমরা একটু তাড়াতাড়ি জয়েন করবে, otherwise it is very difficult. Now if you see the chemical reaction, suppose in cation exchanger, that is the polymeric membrane which contains the pendant group, that is the SO3H group. The pendant SO3H group, it is present in the cation exchanger. So what type of polymeric substance it is used as cation exchanger? They are mainly sulfonated styrene resin, sulfonated PF resin, phenol formaldehyde resin, or carboxylic acid resin. These are the constituent of the polymeric membrane. Now when the water is passed through this cation exchanger, that is the metal ion, that is metal bicarbonate, metal sulfate, or metal chloride, when it will pass through the cation exchanger, then what happen? The exchange of metal ion with H plus will take place. So that means in the polymeric membrane, the SO3H group, it is present as a pendant group. Now when the hard water is passed through this membrane, then exchange of H plus with the metal ion will take place. So ultimately the metal ion, it will bind with the cation exchanger, and the water which is coming out, that is fairly acidic in nature. Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
দেখো কি এখনো জয়েন করে যাচ্ছে। Okay, now if you see that, suppose the metal sulfate, then exchange of H plus with the metal ion, and the water which is acidic, that means the sulfuric acid, that means H plus ion, it will react with SO4 2 minus to form sulfuric acid. That means water which is coming out, that is acidic in nature. So if you see the chemical reaction, then it will be clear that when the hard water is passed through the cation exchanger, then exchange of cation with the metal ion with the H plus ion will take place. Then the same water, it is passed through the anion exchanger. And what type of substance it is used as a constituent of anion exchanger? That is the polyamine formaldehyde resin, styrene divinyl benzene copolymer, okay, or quaternary ammonium or quaternary phosphonium or tertiary sulfonium groups. These are the constituent of the resin. Now the amine, that means the polymeric membrane contain pendant amine group, and when it is treated with water, then the quaternary ammonium group, that is RNH3 plus OH minus will form. That means when this amine, it is treated with dilute sodium hydroxide, then the quaternary ammonium salt will form. That means this quaternary ammonium salt, it will present as a pendant group in the polymer backbone. Okay. Now, when the hard water which is coming through the cation exchanger that contains either carbonic acid H2CO3 or H2SO4 or HCl, then exchange of CO3 2 minus or SO4 2 minus or Cl minus will take place uh, through the OH minus. Exchange by OH minus with the either SO4 2 minus or Cl minus or CO3 2 minus will take place. And those anions are bind with the anion exchanger, and the water, the final, the water which is coming out, that is completely neutral in nature. That means because totally free from any type of mineral impurities. So after a certain time, when all the cations are exchanged by H plus and all the anions are exchanged by the OH minus, then the efficiency of cation exchanger or anion exchanger will reduce. That means when the all the H plus or OH minus, it is replaced by the metal ion and the anions which are responsible for hardness of water are exchanged, then the either cation exchanger or anion exchanger, that cannot be used. So after a certain time, it is necessary to regenerate the exchange resin. Now, for regeneration, these are the arrow sign actually. So for regeneration of the cation exchanger, the cation exchanger, it is treated with excess dilute sulfuric acid. And when the cation exchanger, it is treated with excess dilute sulfuric acid, then what happened? The again the exchange of metal with the H plus ion will take place, and the cation exchange regime or cation exchange membrane is regenerated, and further it can be used for removal of the cations which are responsible for hardness of water. In the same way, the anion exchange bed can be regenerated when it is treated with strong sodium hydroxide solution. And when the anion exchange bed, where all the anion OH minus, it is exchanged by the anions which are responsible for hardness of water, then that bed, it is treated with strong sodium hydroxide solution. And when it is treated with strong sodium hydroxide solution, then the exchange of X minus with the OH minus will take place, and again the anion exchange bed is regenerated. So this is the process. This is the very most efficient process for removal of hardness of water. And in this process, you will see both the cations as well as the anions which are responsible for hardness of water can be removed. Okay, but whatever the process which I have discussed till now, that is the permutate or zeolite process, you have seen, or lime soda process, either the cation or the anion and can be removed. But here both the cations and anions which are responsible for hardness of water can be removed. Is it okay? Now I shall discuss what are the advantage of this process. The water which is coming out through the ion exchange process, that is extra pure quality. That means free from any hardness bearing salt. No extra power requirement, no heating is required for this purpose. The service life of the resin, that is the membranes which are used as cation exchanger or anion exchanger, that is long, they have long service life due to high mechanical strength and the chemical stability. Even in this process, the acidic or alkaline water, that means if the water contains any acidic or alkaline substance as impurities that can be removed in this process. And sugar juice with mineral constituents can be processed through this ion exchange process. Very water which is coming out in this process, which contains the no minerals, that is completely demineralized, and even the formaldehyde contaminated with formic acid can be purified on an anion exchange bed. So these are the different advantages of ion exchange process. But there are some limitations or disadvantages of ion exchange process. That is, capital cost is high. That means initial investment cost for installation of this type of ion exchanger, it is high, and equipments are chemical, and the equipment both are costly. And another important thing is that if water contains turbidity, then the efficiency of the process is reduced. That means why? Ek minute. Hello.
আপনি কি ক্লাসে আছেন, ব্যস্ত আছেন?
হ্যাঁ, ক্লাস নিচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা, তাহলে পরে কখন ফ্রি হবেন বলুন, আমাকে ফোনেই কথা বলতে হবে।
12:40।
12:40?
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে, আমি ফোন করে নেবো 12:40-এর পর।
ঠিক আছে।
Now, in this process, if the water contains turbidity, that means the impurities, suspended particulate matters are present in the water. Then what happens? As we are using membrane which contains micropores through which the water can pass, then those turbidity will form clog onto the membrane surface, and ultimately the pores will block, and as a result the efficiency of the process is reduced. So these are the disadvantages or limitation of ion exchange process. Okay, so this is all about the water chemistry. Have you got the material of water pollution? Hello. Okay. Now I shall start the new chapter, that is the stereochemistry. Okay. In stereochemistry, very few things are in the syllabus. Some portion you have already read in your class 2 level. First, in stereochemistry, it is necessary to know about the isomerism. What is isomerism? ভালো করে বুঝে নাও। The chemical compounds with identical molecular formulas but different structural formula, that means the arrangement of the atoms in the molecule is somewhere different. They are called isomers, and isomers have different physical and chemical properties, and this phenomenon that is called isomerism. The chemical compounds with identical molecular formula but different structural formula. Different structural formula means the arrangement of the atoms in the molecule is somewhere different. They are called isomer. Now, suppose if we consider the example of hydrocarbon, say C5H12. Okay, this is a hydrocarbon, and that means CnH2n plus 2. So these are the isomers. So if we write the isomers of 3 different hydrocarbons, you will see this is the normal pentane, this is isopentane, and this is neopentane. All the chemical formula of molecular formula of all these 3 hydrocarbons are same. They are C5H12, but they form different compounds and their physical and chemical properties of all these three compounds are different. Normal pentane, isopentane, and neopentane, their chemical formulas are different. Now I shall discuss about the structural isomerism. Structural isomerism that means isomerism where isomers differ in their basic structure. That means the basic structure of the different isomers will change in the atomic framework. They are called structural isomerism. And structural isomerism, it is mainly classified into two different types. First one is the skeletal isomerism and second one is the positional isomerism. Skeletal isomerism, that means they differ in the arrangement of carbon atoms in the molecule. Suppose if you see the hydrocarbon C5H12, where in the skeletal isomer, the arrangement of carbon atom in the molecule is different. If you see this carbon chain, which contains the 5 number of carbons, whereas here in the carbon chain, that is 4 number of carbon is present and 1 methyl group it is present as a substituent. And here in the main chain, the 3 carbon atom is present. So skeletal isomer, that means they differ in the arrangement of carbon atoms in the molecule. The example is normal pentane, isopentane, and neopentane. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
we will
sir.
discuss about the positional isomerism. Positional isomerism means they differ in the position of the non-carbon group without any change in the carbon skeleton. In structural isomerism, you have seen that the basic carbon skeleton will differ. That means in the basic carbon skeleton means this is the basic carbon skeleton. চলে এসে এক মিনিট হ্যাঁ এটা স্যার এখন দেয়া থাকলো পরে আবার যখন লক করে দেবো তাহলে actually in the skeletal isomerism the basic carbon skeleton of the three isomers will differ. In normal pentane, the basic carbon skeleton, the number of carbon atom it is equal to 5. Whereas in isopentane, this is the basic carbon skeleton. Whereas in the isopentane, in the basic carbon skeleton, the number of carbon atom it is equal to 4. And the neopentane, in the basic carbon skeleton, the number of carbon atom it is equal to 3. This is the basic carbon skeleton, or whatever it can be. This may be the basic carbon skeleton. Okay? The positional isomerism, that means they differ in the position of the non-carbon group without any change in the carbon skeleton. That means the basic carbon skeleton remains same, but the position of the non-carbon group will change. And this type of isomer, they belong to the same class of compound. For example, suppose if you consider what is the molecular formula of this compound? C3H8O, right? C3H8O. Now the isomers of C3H8O, that is CH3, CH2, CH2OH, and this is one carbon 1, this is carbon 2, and this is carbon 3. Then the non-carbon group, which one is the non-carbon group? that is the hydroxyl group, and the non-carbon group, that is hydroxyl group, it is attached with C1 carbon. Whereas, and the name of this organic compound, that is 1-propanol. Whereas if you see the basic carbon skeleton is C, CH3, CH2, CH2. That means C, C, C. And here also the basic carbon skeleton is same. But the non-carbon group, it will change its position from C1 carbon to the C2 carbon. That means hydroxyl group in 2-propanol, it is attached with C2 carbon. So this type of isomers, these type of isomers are called positional isomer, and it is called positional isomerism. Or if you consider 1-butene and 2-butene, where the double bond, it will change its position. In 1-butene, the double bond, it is present between C1 and C2 carbon. Whereas in 2-butene, the double bond, it is present between C2 and C3 carbon. And that means the position, it will change and it will form two different positional isomer, that is 1-butene and 2-butene. Okay, is it clear? Hello.
Yes,
Now
sir.
another type of isomer, that is called functional isomerism. But another important thing is that the compounds which are formed, they belongs to same class of compound. Same class of compound means both the isomer, they belongs to alcohol category. Here both the isomers which are formed, they are under alkene category. Right? Now next one is the functional isomerism. Functional isomerism, that means compounds have same molecular formula but belongs to different class of organic compounds. That means the two different isomers which are formed, they belongs to different class of organic compounds, and they are physical and chemical. As they belongs to different class of organic compounds, therefore their physical and chemical properties will also widely differ. Now suppose if you consider the molecule, that is the molecular formula of this, what is the molecular formula of this compound? That is C3H8O. Right? Now the two different functional isomers of C3H8O, one is CH3CH2CH2OH, that is 1-propanol, and this organic compound which is formed, that is under alcohol category. Whereas another organic compound which may also another isomer which is CH3OC2H5, that is methoxyethane, and it is under ether category. Okay. Now suppose if you consider the organic compound whose molecular formula is C3H6O, and two different functional isomers are CH3COCH3, this is called propanone, and this is under ketone category, and CH3CH2CHO. You see, the molecular formula of both these organic compounds are same, but this organic compound CH3CH2CHO, this is called propanal, and it is under aldehyde category. Is it okay? And these type of isomers are called functional isomers. Okay. Now suppose if you try to solve this problem, C2H6O is the molecular formula of two different compounds. That means two different isomers. You have to write down their structure and which of them is more volatile and why. The molecular formula of the compound which is given, that is C2H6O, and the two different functional group isomerism of this compound. What are the two different functional isomer? That is CH3CH2CH2OH. This is the alcohol, and another one that is CH3O CH3, that is methoxyethane. This compound, it is under alcohol category, and this compound which is under ether category. Now the last question, that which of them is more volatile and why? Among alcohol and ether, which one is more volatile? That means which one has low boiling point? Bolo? Hello? Bolbe? Definitely ether. Huh? The ether is more volatile. That means the low boiling point. Why? Because in ethanol, the hydrogen bonding is possible. In ethanol, the hydrogen bonding is possible. That means two ethanol molecule. In between two ethanol molecule, this type of hydrogen bonding is possible. And due to hydrogen bonding, the molecular association will occur. And as these different alcohol molecules are attached through hydrogen bonding, so to boil, you have to give more amount of energy, and alcohol has higher boiling point. That means they are less volatile. Whereas if you consider ether, say here dimethyl ether, no such hydrogen bonding is possible in dimethyl ether. As there is no hydrogen bonding in dimethyl ether, therefore the dimethyl ether, it is the low boiling or highly volatile liquid. Is it clear? Oh,
Yes, sir.
বোঝা গেছে তো?
হ্যাঁ, sir.
Now I shall discuss about the metamerism. I shall discuss about the metamerism. Metamerism, that is isomeric compounds. They belongs to same homologous series. Same homologous series means they belongs to same class of organic compound and contains the multivalent atom. Multivalent atom like oxygen, like nitrogen, and those multivalent atoms that will bear the dissimilar alkyl or aryl groups. Then those isomeric compounds are called metamers. The isomeric compounds, they belong to same class of organic compound, that means same homologous series. The isomeric compounds contains the multivalent atom like oxygen and nitrogen, and those oxygen and nitrogen, they are attached with the dissimilar alkyl or aryl group. Suppose if we consider the molecular formula of C4H10O. Now what are the different metamers which are possible for C4H10O? Okay. Now one metamer, that is diethyl ether. Here in diethyl ether, the multivalent atom, that is oxygen, it is attached with the alkyl group. That is the name of this alkyl group. This is methyl or ethyl. This is ethyl group, and it is diethyl ether. Whereas another organic compound where the multivalent atom.
Courage and confidence. In other words, all the qualities I never had.
Hello,
What's your name, kid?
Siddharth. Hello. Siddharth saw microphone mute karo. Now another metamers in which the multivalent atom like oxygen, it is attached with the propyl group. In diethyl ether, the multivalent atom, that is oxygen, it is attached with ethyl group. In methyl N-propyl ether, the multivalent atom, that is oxygen, it is attached with the propyl group, and another ether, that is methyl isopropyl ether, where the multivalent atom, that is oxygen, it is attached with the propyl isopropyl group. So that means the all different metamass of C4H10O, in which the multivalent atom, that is oxygen, it is attached with the different alkyl groups, that is dissimilar alkyl groups, but all these compounds which are formed, they belongs to same homologous series. That means they belongs to same class of organic compounds. Same class of organic compound means all these are under ether category. Is it clear?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Okay. Now another compound, say amine. This is the structure of trimethylamine, where the multivalent atom like nitrogen, which is attached with the methyl group. The name of this compound is trimethylamine. This compound, they have same molecular formula, but here the multivalent atom, that is nitrogen, it is attached with the ethyl group. It is methyl ethylamine, and another one, that is the N-propylamine, where the multivalent atom like nitrogen, it is attached with the N, that is the propyl group. So all these three organic compounds which are formed, they belongs to same homologous series, that is amine category. But those three compounds, in those three compounds, the multivalent atom like nitrogen, they are attached with dissimilar alkyl groups. Okay. Now I shall discuss about the tautomerism. Tautomerism, that means isomerism, in which the isomers are reversibly changing from one functional group isomer to another functional group isomer. Isomerism, in which the isomers are reversibly changing from one functional group isomer to another functional group isomer. For example, suppose if you consider ethyl acetoacetate. This is the structure of ethyl acetoacetate, CH3CO, CH2CO, OC2H5. CH3CO, CH2CO, OC2H5. Okay. So this particular form of ethyl acetoacetate, it is called keto form. Now, this keto form, it is present in dynamic equilibrium with the enol form. That means this hydrogen, it is the most labile hydrogen. Why it is most labile hydrogen? Because this and it will participate in the resonance to form this type of compound. Then in between these two structures, there will be a reversible sign. So if you take ethyl acetoacetate, then in ethyl acetoacetate, the keto form and enol form, they are present in dynamic equilibrium. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Achha. Now tell me why this hydrogen is most labile hydrogen, and why, that means why this hydrogen will participate in the resonance to form the enol form. Because oxygen is electronegative. Do you know electronegativity? Electronegativity of an atom is to attract the shared electron pair towards itself. Well, oxygen is more electronegative. As oxygen is more electronegative, therefore shared electron pair of this bond, it will be attracted towards oxygen. And as the shared electron pair of the oxygen is attracted towards oxygen, then what happens? This carbon will be partially positively charged. Okay. Same thing will also happen in this carbonyl group, where oxygen is more electronegative, therefore it will attract the shared electron pair towards itself. And when it will attract the shared electron pair towards itself, then this carbon will be partially positively charged. Both the carbonyl carbons between two sides of this hydrogen, they are electron deficient in nature. As they are electron deficient, so they will attract the shared electron pair of this bond particle, and as a result, the positive charge is generated onto this carbon. Okay, and therefore, hydrogen itself is positively charged. So, as this hydrogen will be most labile hydrogen, and it will participate in the resonance to form the enol form of ethyl acetoacetate. বুঝা গেল? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now I shall discuss about the stereoisomerism. Stereoisomerism. Actually, stereoisomerism, that means the phenomenon of stereoisomerism occurs when two or more compounds having same molecular formula, same structural formula, but differ in the arrangement of molecular formula, but different structural formula. But stereoisomerism, that means the compounds have same molecular formula, same structural formula, but that differ in the arrangement of the atom in space around some chosen center within the molecule. Now, stereoisomerism, it is mainly classified into two different types. First one is the optical isomerism, and second one is the geometrical isomerism. Optical isomerism and geometrical isomerism. Now, before discussion about the optical isomerism, I will tell you the optically active compounds. What is optically active compounds? Optically active compound means certain organic compounds, they are rotate in the plane polarized, in the plane of vibration of the light, when the plane polarized light will pass through them. And these compounds are called optically active. Optically active compound means the compounds, organic compounds, they are which are found to rotate in the plane of vibration of the light. That means when you place the compound in the plane of vibration of light, when the plane polarized monochromatic light will pass through them, then the rotation of the compound will occur. And those compounds which will rotate in the plane of vibration of the light, they are called optically active compound. Now, optically active compound, their rotation in the plane polarized light either takes place in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction. And the compounds which will rotate in the plane polarized light to the clockwise direction, that means towards the right, they are called dextrorotatory or D or plus. Compounds that are rotate in the plane polarized light towards the clockwise direction, that means towards the right, they are called dextrorotatory or D or plus. And the compounds that rotated in the plane polarized light in the anti-clockwise direction, that means towards the left, they are called levorotatory or L or minus. Okay. The dextrorotatory means the molecules will rotate in the plane polarized light to the right, that means towards the clockwise direction. They are called dextrorotatory or D or plus. And the compounds which will rotate in the plane polarized light to the anti-clockwise direction, they are called levorotatory or L or minus. Okay. Now, what is the plane polarized light? Plane polarized light is that which is vibrating in only one of the possible plane. The light which is vibrating in only one of the possible plane. And what is that possible plane? That is perpendicular to its direction of propagation. Okay, that is called plane polarized light. Now, how will you form this light? The plane polarized light can be formed when the light, it is passed, the unpolarized light, it is passed through Nicol prism or a Polaroid film. The light which will coming through the Nicol prism or Polaroid film, that vibrates in only one plane. And what is that plane? That plane is perpendicular to its direction of propagation. And all other planes are rejected. And that is called plane polarized light. In this way, you can prepare or you can form the plane polarized light. ঠিক আছে? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I shall discuss about the chirality. Chirality. That is chiral compound. I shall discuss about the chirality. Actually, the particular word chiral, it is originated from the Greek word which means chair, and chair means hand. And you will see that your right hand is a non-superimposable mirror image of your left hand. Your right hand is a non-superimposable mirror image of your left hand. Well, suppose if you consider this is your right hand and this is your left hand. So this is the mirror image of these two hands, but they are non-superimposable, because when you superimpose these two hands, you will see that they are non-superimposable mirror images. Is it clear? Chair means the word chiral, it is originated from the Greek word which means chair, that means hand, and your right hand, it is the non-super, right hand and left hand, they are mirror images of each other, but they are non-superimposable mirror image, because if you superimpose your right hand to your left hand, you will see that they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Well, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they are any object which is non-superimposable on its mirror image, they are called chiral compound. Any object, they are non-superimposable with its mirror image, they are called chiral object or chiral compound, and they are also called asymmetric compound. Compounds which will form non-superimposable mirror images of each other, they are called chiral compounds or asymmetric compounds. And molecular chirality is developed, that is when these three different types of symmetry are absent in the compound. The molecular chirality is developed when these three different types of symmetry are absent in the organic compound. Organic or any type of compound. It may be a complex compound which is inorganic in nature. Now, what are the symmetry? That is the plane of symmetry, center of symmetry, and alternating axis of symmetry. Now, the example of chiral compound, suppose if you write the structure of this compound, the two different stereoisomers, where this is one type of stereoisomer, this is another type of stereoisomer. The molecular formula of both the compounds are same. The structural formula of both the compounds are same. but only they differ in the arrangement of the groups in the space. And you will see that this compound and this compound, they are mirror images of each other. Right? They are mirror images of each other. But if you superimpose this compound onto this compound, you will see that they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Well, as they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, so these two compounds are called chiral compounds or asymmetric compounds. And the molecular chirality, it is developed if three different types of symmetry are absent in the compound. What are those three different types of symmetry? Those are plane of symmetry, center of symmetry, and alternating axis of symmetry. Now first I shall discuss about the plane of symmetry. Okay? Plane of symmetry means, suppose if you consider this molecule, it is the compound, the name of this compound, it is tartaric acid. CHOH, CHOH. Okay, this is tartaric acid. And this particular form of tartaric acid, it is called mesotartaric acid. Now I shall discuss what is plane of symmetry. Actually, this molecule, a particular molecule which possesses a plane of symmetry, that means if you draw an imaginary plane which can divide the molecule in such a way so that the one half will be the mirror image of the other. You can draw an imaginary plane which can divide the molecule in such a way so that one half will be the mirror image of the other. Then you will see the molecule contain plane of symmetry. So this is the representation of mesotartaric acid. And in mesotartaric acid, if you draw an imaginary plane, this is the imaginary plane which can divide the molecule in such a way so that this half is the mirror image of this half. That means this mesotartaric acid which contains plane of symmetry. So the mesotartaric acid, whether it is a chiral compound or achiral or that is the asymmetric, chiral compound or achiral compound. It is achiral compound because the molecule contains plane of symmetry. Because if absent in the molecule, then the molecule will be chiral in nature. Am I clear? Hello? বোঝা গেল? কিছু বলো? বোঝা যাচ্ছে? Hello? Now I shall discuss about the center of symmetry. Symmetry মানে কি? Center of symmetry. Okay, very good. Ishita has answered that. Yes, very good. A molecule has a center of symmetry means, suppose if you consider this molecule, this is a cyclobutane compound. There are different substituents in the cyclobutane. And center of symmetry means a molecule has center of symmetry if there is a point which is called, this is the point which is called center within the molecule, such that if you draw a line through that point and that line, when you will draw through this point, it will meet an atom or a group of atom at a certain distance from that point, and then it will meet another similar atom or group of atom on the other side at an identical distance. That means first you have to consider a point in the molecule that is called center. হ্যাঁ, বলো। এক মিনিট।
শিডিউলে এই দুটো পেপার দুটো আনসার বলছিলেন, এই দুটো পেপারই বলছেন নাকি এগুলো পরীক্ষা নেওয়া যাবে না?
এফেক্টিভ টিচিং কমিউনিকেশন
এগুলো technical
ছেড়ে দাও।
শরীর
না, ছেড়ে দাও। ওই দুটো আসলে ওই সেশনাল পেপার।
সেশনাল, কিন্তু ওই যেহেতু থিওরিতে দেওয়া ছিল তো তাই
হ্যাঁ, আমি খেয়াল করে হয়নি, একটু সেশনাল। Hello. Ultimately, center of symmetry means first you have to consider a point at the within the molecule. You have to draw a line through that point, and when you draw the line through from this point, it meets a group of atom at a certain distance. Now you draw a line in the opposite side and move to the identical distance, and if you get the same atom or group of atom, then we can say that the molecule has center of symmetry. Well, we have taken this compound, this is a cyclobutane ring, and this is the center of this molecule. Now from this molecule, when we draw a line in one side, I have got a group of atom that is C2H5. Now on the opposite side, we have moved to the identical distance, and we have got the same group of atom that is C2H5. Same way, if we move into this distance, this point we will get a group of atom that is methyl group, and in the opposite side, when we move the identical distance, we have got the same group of atom that is, or group that is methyl group. And we can say that the molecule has center of symmetry. Okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, very good. মাঝে মাঝে বলবেন, হলে না জানো এটা রোল নাম্বার 63, কি নাম গো তোমার?
Sir, Saurav Singh.
Very good. Now I shall discuss about another type of symmetry that is called alternating axis of symmetry. Now you understand, try to understand very this thing. Alternating axis of symmetry. Suppose here also we have taken a compound that is a cyclobutane ring. Cyclobutane ring, which is a 4-membered ring. Well, the molecule is said to have an alternating axis of symmetry when rotation of the molecule about, this is the axis, rotation, that is the S4 axis. S4 axis, why S4 axis? Because this is a 4-membered ring. Well, rotation of the molecule about that axis by 360 degree by n. Rotation of the molecule about this axis by 360 degree by n. 360 degree by n. N means the how many number ring it is. On that basis, the n it is calculated. If it is a 5, it will be 5-member ring, then n is equal to 5. As it is a 4-member ring, then n is equal to 4. So first of all, about this axis, you have to rotate the molecule by 360 degree by n. Then reflection at a plane perpendicular to this axis. Then you have to reflect the compound by 360 by the mirror, and you have to place the mirror which is perpendicular to this plane. So if we place the mirror here, that is perpendicular to this plane, and after reflection, the compound which is obtained, if it is identical with that of the parent compound, then we can say that the molecule contains alternating axis of symmetry. Well, first of all, you have to rotate the compound by 360 degree by n. then the reflection of the compound, and you have to place the mirror perpendicular to this axis. Okay, and if the image which is formed that is identical with that of the original one, then we can say that the molecule contain alternating axis of symmetry. Okay, this is a 4-membered ring, so you have to rotate by 360 degree by n. 360 degree by 4 means 90 degree rotation. So when you rotate this compound in the about this axis, about this axis, you have to rotate this compound by 360 degree by n, that is 360 by 4, that is 90 degree. Well, when you rotate this compound by 90 degree, then what happens? This group will come here, this group will come here, this group will come here, and this group will come here. Follow the mouse pointer. This group will come here. Okay, so after rotation, this will come here, I mean HCH3. This will come here, that means CH3H. This group will come here, that means HCH3, and this group will come here, that means CH3H. Well, after 90 degree rotation, this is the structure of the compound which is formed. Now you have to place the mirror in this way so that it is perpendicular to this axis, and as it is and then you have to take the reflection, and if you take the reflection of this image, you will see this is the structure of the reflected molecule, and you see that the structure A and C, they are identical. As structure A and C are identical, that means we can say that the molecule contain alternating axis of symmetry. The molecule contain alternating axis of symmetry. ঠিক আছে?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Okay. Now I will discuss about the optical isomerism of chiral organic compound using the example of lactic acid. Optical isomerism of chiral organic compound using the example of lactic acid. This is the structure of lactic acid. CH3, CHOH, COOH. CH3CHCOOH, it contains one asymmetric carbon, structure of the lactic acid. And if we want to draw that optical isomers of two optical isomers of lactic acid, then what we have to do? We have to write the mirror image of this structure. You have to draw the mirror image of this structure. The mirror image of this structure will be this. This is D or plus lactic acid, and this is L or minus lactic acid. These are the two different optical isomers of lactic acid. Okay. Now suppose if we consider the optical isomers of tartaric acid. Tartaric acid, what is the formula? Tartaric acid formula is CHOH COOH CHOH COOH. Okay, that formula of tartaric acid in the plane of symmetry I have shown you. That is, this is the structure of tartaric acid. CHOH COOH CHOH COOH. And now we want to see what are the optical isomers of tartaric acid. Well, in tartaric acid, how many asymmetric carbons are present? That is, this is 1 carbon and this is 2 carbon. Right? So in tartaric acid, 2 asymmetric carbons are present. And those carbons, they are linked with 4 different groups. So suppose if we consider this is the structure of tartaric acid, and and you follow the mouse pointer. In this tartaric acid, this is 1 asymmetric carbon and this is another asymmetric carbon. Well, this asymmetric carbon, it is attached with which groups? One group is COOH, another group is OH, another group H, and another group, this total one, that is CH-OH, COOH. Okay. Now another asymmetric group of tartaric acid, that is this one, and this group it is attached to it H, OH, COOH, and this total one, that is CH-OH, COOH. Is it clear? ভালো করে বুঝে নাও। Is it clear?
Sir, can you repeat once again?
Now, yes, I am telling that this is the structural formula of tartaric acid. এক মিনিট। Hello? Hello? ক্লাস নিচ্ছে, আমি তো পরে করি। হ্যাঁ, ক্লাস নিচ্ছে। পরে করছে। পরীক্ষা
আমারটা ডেটাটা চালু করে দাও কলেজে।
তাহলে in tartaric acid, this is one asymmetric carbon, this is another. You follow the mouse pointer. This is this is one, this is the hand sign. This is one asymmetric carbon and this is another asymmetric carbon. So this asymmetric carbon, it is attached with which groups? 4 different groups. One group is hydrogen, another group is OH, another group COOH, and another group it is total one, this one, that is CH-OH, COOH. Okay. Another asymmetric carbon is this one, and this asymmetric carbon it is attached to with hydrogen, OH, COOH, and this total one, that is CH-OH, COOH. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we want to see the different optical isomer of chiral organic compound, that is the tartaric acid. So chiral organic compound. Chiral organic compound means it does not contain the 3 different types of symmetry. If the 2 hydroxyl group will be in the same side, then it will contain the plane of symmetry. That I have shown you. This one. This is also the structure of tartaric acid. Okay. But where the 2 carboxyl or hydroxyl, if they are in the same side, then it contains the plane of symmetry. That means you draw an imaginary plane which can divide the molecule in such a way so that one half will be the mirror image of the other. And when any type of symmetry, that is plane of symmetry, center of symmetry, or alternating axis of symmetry will present in the molecule, then the molecule will be achiral. But we have to draw the optical isomer of chiral organic compound so that the 2 hydroxyl group or carboxyl group, they will be in the opposite side. That means there will be no plane of symmetry. So dextrotartaric acid is one which rotates the plane polarized light to the right. Okay, this is the dextrotartaric acid which rotates in the plane polarized light to the right. And this one is the levotartaric acid which rotates in the plane polarized light to the left. That means this and this, these are the mirror images of each other. So if you draw a mirror, then you will write the mirror image, you will see that the D form of tartaric acid and L form of tartaric acid, they are mirror images of each other. ঠিক আছে, বোঝা গেল? But when you write both the hydroxyl group are in the same side, whether it will be chiral or achiral, both the hydroxyl group are in the same side of the vertical line. They will be achiral. Yeah, because when you place both the hydroxyl group in the same side of the vertical line, then the molecule contain plane of symmetry. Right? Molecule contain plane of symmetry, and when the molecule contain plane of symmetry, then the molecule will be achiral in nature. Okay? Now another type of tartaric acid, that is called racemic tartaric acid. Racemic tartaric acid, it is an equimolar roll number 27. Microphone থেকে আওয়াজ আসছে। Racemic tartaric acid, which is an equimolar mixture. Equimolar mixture means 1:1 mixture of D-tartaric acid and L-tartaric acid. Of D-tartaric acid and L-tartaric acid, this equimolar mixture, they are called racemic tartaric acid, and they are also called enantiomer. আসছে enantiomer টা পরে বলছি। তাহলে racemic tartaric acid, it is an equimolar mixture which is 1:1 mixture of D-tartaric acid and L-tartaric acid. The D and L. This type of mixture of optically inactive, since the of the two enantiomers are equal in magnitude but opposite in sign. These are optically inactive because the specific rotation of the two enantiomers are equal in magnitude but sign is different.
কৌশিক বাবু
Now next one is
একটু
the
জানান বলছি
mesotartaric acid.
বলছি এবার তো
Mesotartaric
কলেজে
acid
কলেজের তো,
has
ইয়েটাকে
plane of
আবার
symmetry.
চালু করতে হবে।
Mesotartaric acid has plane of symmetry. That means which can bisect the molecule in such a way so that one half will be the mirror image of the other half. And this compound is
ঠিক
the
ঠিক
achiral
আমাকে ফ্রি
compound
হলে পর ফোন
due to the
করতে হবে।
presence of plane of symmetry.
হ্যাঁ
Just now I told you, when you place both the hydroxyl group are in the same side of the vertical line, then the molecule will be achiral. That means optically inactive. Okay. Now I shall discuss about the enantiomer. Enantiomer ki jinis? Enantiomer means optical isomers that are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Optical isomers that are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. They are called enantiomer. For example, suppose if you write the structure of 2,3,4-trihydroxybutanal. Butanal means aldehyde. The structure of 2,3,4-trihydroxybutanal, that is CHO, CHOH, CHOH, CH2H. This is the structure of 2,3,4-trihydroxybutanal. Okay. Now you draw a mirror
হ্যালো
and write the mirror image of this structure. So these two structures, they are non-superimposable, because if you superimpose this structure onto this structure, you will see this each hydroxyl will superimpose onto this hydrogen. This hydroxyl will superimpose onto this hydrogen. This hydrogen will superimpose into this hydroxyl, and this hydrogen will superimpose in this hydroxyl. So that means they are two non-superimposable mirror images of each other. And as they form two non-superimposable mirror images of each other, so they are called enantiomers. Enantiomer means the compounds which will form the non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Ar ki hobe? What are the other enantiomer? Just the two hydroxyl are in the opposite side of the vertical line. There is one possibility where both the hydroxyl group are in the same side of the vertical line. But there is another possibility of optical isomer where the two hydroxyl group are in the opposite side of the vertical line. Okay, so what will be the structure? This is the structure where the two hydroxyl groups are in the opposite side of the vertical line. Okay, now you draw the mirror image of this structure. And when you draw the mirror image of this structure, what will be the mirror image? I'd like to practice for another. Where is it? You draw the mirror image of this structure, you will see this is the mirror image of this structure. And these two structures, you see, they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. And as they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, so they are also enantiomers. If we consider 2,3,4-trihydroxybutanal, then in 2,3,4-trihydroxybutanal, 1 and 2 are enantiomer, as well as 3 and 4 are enantiomers. Is it clear? Hello? Boya gelo?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Acha. And next one is the diastereomer ta bole ache chhede debo. Now diastereomer, the stereoisomer that are not mirror images of each other. Stereoisomers that are not mirror images of each other, they are called diastereomer. In 2,3,4-trihydroxybutanal, 1 and 2 are mirror images of each other, so they are enantiomer. 3 and 4 are mirror images of each other, they are enantiomer. But if we consider 1 and 3, whether they are mirror images of each other or not. 1 and 3. This is 1 and where both the hydroxyl group are in the same side, and 3 where the two hydroxyl group are in the opposite side of the vertical line. They are not mirror images of each other. So 1 and 3 are diastereomer. Similarly, 1 where two hydroxyl groups are in the same side of the vertical line, and 4 the two hydroxyl groups are in the opposite side of the vertical line. They are also not mirror images of each other. So 1 and 4 are diastereomer. 1, 3, 1, 4 are diastereomer. Similarly, you will see 2, 3 and 2, 4. They are also diastereomer. Diastereomer means the stereoisomers that are not mirror images of each other. Stereoisomers that are not mirror images of each other, they are called diastereomers. Are enantiomer, the stereoisomer which are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, they are called enantiomer. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, তাহলে আজ এই পর্যন্ত থাক। Next day I will discuss about the other examples of enantiomers and diastereomers. মানে কালকে।
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so you take the screenshot of the attendance and send it to someone. Okay.
স্যার
Okay, sir.
বলো বলো।
স্যার বলছি ওয়াটার পলিউশনের নোটটা আমরা এখনো পাইনি।
আমি আজকেই পাঠিয়ে দিতে বলেছি। ওকে, আজই পাঠিয়ে।
ওকে
ওকে।
আর স্যার বলছি ক্লাস টেস্টের জন্য এটা আবার সিলেবাসটা বলবেন?
ক্লাস টেস্টে কালকে বলে দেবো। tomorrow I will tell you.
ওকে স্যার।
তোমরা লিভ করে দিতে পারো।